that's good enough to piss somebody off. Oh, I know.
Mischievous.
Especially being out of school and what have you.
Yeah.
And how you doing, Sue?
How you doing? Good.
You ever seen Mr. Clean's work? I was in better shape back then, weren't I? Yeah. Okay. Driver been doing pretty good job. We did. She did right last year.
Yes.
Been down Harbor this week
Once or twice.
since Saturday. Fences go, palms right now. We got the sprinkler system repaired this afternoon. Decorative Mediterranean fan pumps and multi-trunk. They get about $150 off each of the corners. We're out of money. We gotta rebuild our car. They were diseased. Those didn't.
Push or tear that back and do stuff.
It was hard to keep yeah.
That's the threshold.
Are you talking about the one across from the gas station? Just between City Hall and Catholic Church. Somebody told me they read.
Sometime or another, best quit it and you gotta leave. Keep it deep. So the worst comes done. Probably taking you calls. The lips, so you know, it's right there, right? So that
Silver bar. Silver bar. It's on the front side. Silver bar. That goes to the curve. Where the silver bar faces out. That way the lid opens like this. The lid opens toward your house. That's like the lid opens toward your house. You gotta do it. Yes. But you have the little storefronts on the bar.
At 7 o'clock, we'll call to order the regular meeting of the City Council of the City of Aransas Pass here at the City Hall at 600 West Cleveland Boulevard, Aransas Pass, Texas, of March 17, 2014, 7 p.m. Mr. Robert, the invocation. Everybody rise, please. Lord, I'd like to give thanks to everybody being up here today, all our citizens. It's having a good day. Looks like a beautiful day today. Also, happy St. Patrick's Day to all. Hope everybody enjoyed themselves as much as they could throughout the weekend, through the week. Everybody's feeling better, doing all right. I wish everybody that is not feeling well a speedy recovery. And God bless everybody and our kids. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This will bring us to item number 3. Consider an act on the consent agenda. All of the following items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council, will be enacted with one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests. If the discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. We have 2 items, which is A, the minutes of March 3rd, 2014, and then item B, which is the ordinance of 2014-4063.
I got one thing on the item 10. I think I voted yes on that. It shows me the nay.
Let's see.
Item 10, you did vote for that?
Yeah, I believe I did. But it's been 2 weeks and, I believe I did. I can't believe I voted no on that.
I believe that was a unanimous,
Okay.
yes.
My memory's working good. No better.
Is there anything else anybody
That,
wants to bring
that's
up?
all I have.
Also, I was looking at, the citizens' comments on number 19, as far as the city manager recognizing Boy Scouts for Little League. It was, yes, I did not recognize the Boy Scouts. No offense, Boy Scouts.
Well, I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda with corrections.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That was on page 8, Mrs. Long. That brings us to item number 4, the presentation by Brenda Gonzalez on the Early Childhood Intervention Project Niños.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me opportunity to just a little tidbit of information. It's something that perhaps someone in this room might know about. It's called Early Childhood Intervention. It is part of the federal law, IDEA, Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, which requires that we help families that have children birth to 22 years of age that are born with disabilities or delays. Most everybody in this room, I'm sure, is very familiar with the part of the federal law that is public school education, and that is your special education program. And that program takes care of children 3 to 22. Well, there is a program out there, which is Early Childhood Intervention in the state of Texas. It's part of that federal law. It's in every county of the state, and we work with the families that have children birth to 3. So as community servants, it's just you're out there with the general public and you run across someone that you know is having a concern with their child. You'll know that this program is out there. Our office is located in Sinton for San Pat and Aransas County. We have offices in Alice and offices in Laredo. Nueces County has a different ECI, so it just goes by the address of where the child and the family live, and there's an ECI program that services that. A concerned mother, grandmother, family member who has a concern with a newborn child, learning to feed, learning to crawl, learning to walk, learning to talk, all those milestones that happen the first 3 years of their life. In fact, as an early childhood educator myself, research shows the first 5 years of all of our lives, we learn more than we ever learned the rest of our life. And if even any of you are, I seem to be more in tune to grandchildren, but if you're, I seem to watch them grow more than I did my own. It is amazing. You can almost see them learning during their playtime. So it is a critical time in the development of our children to get intervention. I am also working with your public school system. I'll be out at the Falk Elementary School, I believe it's this Wednesday morning, for a Child Find event. You may have seen posters around town. Again, an outpouring to let families know if you've got a baby at home and that baby's not doing everything he should be on target, we need to get intervention. We need to get there quickly to get them ready to enter your public school system. Now they may go into private school. It's just ready to learn. As I said, we do not require a doctor's referral. Concerned family member can call us. They say whatever problem they're having, we design a team with a speech therapist, an occupational therapist, a physical therapist, whatever that family needs. We evaluate the baby and then design a program to help the family help that baby overcome the delay. First 3 years of life, we feel like the family's the best teacher. Now, as you well know, if we watch the news at night, the family's not, can also be the worst teacher. So we go into a lot of homes where we do a lot of intervention, working with the family, and actually teaching them how to be a parent. Probably the most important job most of us ever have in our life is to be a parent, and there are no classes out there for that. We're given a baby, and good luck, and you walk out of the hospital with that baby. Hopefully, all the hospitals in Corpus and in the areas that I serve put the How's Your Baby Developing brochure in the mother's packet so the mother will know we're there. Babies are not always born with delays. Cerebral palsy, Down syndrome, many genetic disorders are automatic qualifiers for our services, a hearing loss, a vision loss, and we're going to go in and help the family. Huge part of what we do is family support, sitting on their living room floor with them when they learn their baby has a problem, and teaching them and giving them support they need to empower them to learn to help their own child. Playtime, bath time, meal time. You need to be a kid at heart to help babies grow and learn. You need to be able to sing songs, dance, be crazy, and help them learn the things they need to learn those first 5 years. So early childhood intervention is out there. It's a huge part of your community, and I hope anyway, you have my card. I do civic groups, I do church groups, I do school boards, I visit every daycare, doctor's office, WIC clinic, just about everywhere in town. I leave our information just so there's not a baby out here in Aransas Pass or in San Pat in Aransas County that needs help. We travel to their home. The early intervention specialists like myself and all the other therapists go to their home and work with them. Very major part of our program, we have a family cost share system with those that have the ability to pay. We ask for payment, but what is great, even if they don't have insurance, that baby's going to get help. So there's no reason for a baby to be at home with any problems, because we are going to be there to help them whether they have insurance or not. We're going to help them get insurance. We're going to help the family get all the resources they need to help that baby get a good head start. So thank you for the opportunity to have a few moments of your time. My number, my card is there. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to come back. I'll be in town, like I said, Wednesday over at Falk Elementary, talking to those little preschoolers getting ready to go to school and their parents, and letting them know that there's help out there in case they have other little ones at home. So thank you very much for what you do for community service, and appreciate again the opportunity to talk to you. Thank you.
On Wednesday, I'm sorry, when you come back on Wednesday, if you would please, we have two critical areas I'd love to have your cards at. One is the aquatic center where families frequent.
Oh, sure.
And the other is our senior center where grandparents now are raising children. So it'd be great to have.
Thank you very much. I have hit your senior center in town because that is a community action senior center as well, and that is our host agency for ECI in this area. But I will more than certainly, you're here in this office? Yes. Okay, I will more than certainly, I think that event's over at 3, so I'll swing back by here and leave you some stuff. I appreciate that. And anybody else who has a venue would like me to leave information, back of my car is full of this stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you for saying it's okay to be crazy with parents. My daughter right there, I'm sure, can vouch for me being a little crazy.
Just a little.
Just a little.
questions on this? Anybody? This will bring us to item number 5. Consider an act on approving the request of Rosemary Vega, CEO of Grants Pass Chamber of Commerce, for the use of Shrimpery grounds and allowance in the city's budget for assistance of the police protection and public works services for the annual Shrimpery from June 12th, Carnival only, 13th, 14th, and the 15th of 2014. This item here,
I'm here.
there she is.
Shrimpery's here again. So here we are again, asking for the use of the public services and the police department and the use of the ground starting on the 12th for the carnival starts first. So that's why it says Thursday, and then the 13th, 14th, and 15th.
Rosemary, we had a question from the council on the total reimbursement to the city, because the employees work directly as contractors for the chamber, and then you cut a check. I have a budget number for PD, but I don't have the total budget numbers for fire and public works.
I have not in the past paid them. I have no problem. I can do that. But I was never sent the form like that, so they were paying them out
this
of.
is from, this is what you guys.
That's what I sent y'all for the police department. The city has, I guess, taken care of the fire department and the public works. I could do that too on my end
But is
if
that
it's
part of
easier.
is that part of the request today, or is it just for police protection?
Public services is on there.
But you usually only reimburse for police, not for public works?
Right.
And what is it that the public works?
Oh, they do
A
trash
lot.
cleanup. They
Yeah.
do a lot. They do a
They're
lot.
they're already gonna start with the cutting the grass and
Prep the ground.
checking the lights and the plumbing and the water lines. They do a lot. They put out all the street signs.
And we're hoping as we go into the bond workshop next Monday and we talk about those improvements to the Shrimpery grounds, to the community park grounds, that the improvements we make will make life much easier for everybody who does Shrimpery every year, because, I don't need to tell you guys, it's a patchwork of things out there, and our staff is constantly having to make last minute repairs and last minute adjustments just to keep things flowing and working. So.
Is there an estimate of how much time?
Just for the public works, just for the actual days on site, is about $10,000. But that doesn't include the days leading up to, the weeks and months leading up to, in terms of preparation for the grounds.
Now, is this overtime or is that part of their salary?
This is at an overtime rate, because most of the staff all work during the week. We had some question as to those shift workers that normally work on a Saturday, if they pick up a later shift, and how we're scheduling those things. Public Works is at an overtime rate. Police has negotiated a off-duty rate. So. And that $10,000, that's our loaded salary rate. That includes benefits and insurance and things, so.
So do you have an idea how many employees, city employees we're gonna be using?
All
I actually don't make the schedule. The PD makes the schedule for the police department.
Yeah,
They have a draft of how many they used last year, and it's a lot of them. There's 45,000 people out there, and there's no violence at all, no crime. They made no arrests last year, so their presence is known out there.
For the 3 days, Public Works put in almost 300 hours in those 3 days with the staff that they used. So, and then this is the list for police. So, I mean, that's already 60 people. We have 100 staff, so the rest of us are out there anyway. We're just not on anybody's payroll.
Now, do we include this money in our budget every year, or is it something that?
It's a budgeted line item. It's a budget item. We have separate line items for overtime, separate line items for salary.
And those hours are marked specifically for Shrimpery?
mark anything specific. We just, historically what the average use has been in terms of overtime. And then knowing if we have, for example, this year, we're gonna have the Matlock project and a couple of other projects where we're using force account
Right.
staff. So we have to incorporate those things into the budget, and there's no, I don't say they get no, there's just a lump.
Is the overtime, this extra hours, is that forced on them, or do they volunteer?
They volunteer. Some of the staff has as little as 8 hours, and then some staff has as much as 32 hours over a 3-day
Okay.
weekend. And if you're Eric, then you have 27 or 30 hours in 2 days.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Nope. I'm good.
Just do I have any more questions?
Well, I make a motion that we approve the request by the Chamber of Commerce for the use of the Shrimpery grounds and for the allowance of the assistance of police protection and public works services for the Shrimpery from June 12th, 13th, 14th, and 15th, 2014.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
My vote is yes, but I have to abstain because I'm on the chamber board.
Thank you, Mr. Gomez. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Clarifying that.
I just wanted to make sure.
I appreciate it.
That's This brings us to item number 6. Consider an act on the Rancho Chamber of Commerce renting billboards for the city of Rancho advertising and paying the fee out of the hotel motel funds and not to exceed $16,320.
You motioned me for me to sit down, so I sat.
You again?
Okay, so we're at the time again where we do the city billboards that we've been doing for the past. This will be the fourth year. This will be the 4th year. They run from April to March, so we're at the end of our contract right now. I had sent you a spreadsheet with what we spent last year. If you look at the bottom of your spreadsheet in the box, you'll see that we budgeted for $16,320 and we spent $16,200. Initially, when we started this program, we were at $21,000 to do these boards. Some of you were not here initially when we started this process, and it was basically an opportunity that Lamar gave to us because they had vacant boards. We picked up a San Antonio board that's an annual board that we contract, and we pay $735 for that board a month. And then we have additionally 6 or 7 free boards. You'll see the list at the top where it says area of billboards. Those are the locations for the free boards that we have, other than the San Antonio to CC one.
Yeah, I didn't get that spreadsheet.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that is-
I turned this in Thursday.
Do you have a copy of that? Oh, you did? Okay. It's on the shared drive where? Oh, okay. If you'll just email it to me, I'll open it up.
This is the list of the boards that you'll have at the top. The one that you see highlighted is one that you no longer have. We just found out that that is a high traffic area for people for chef, and they no longer give that to us for free. We can pick that board up for $900 a month. The traffic on that board is, I think, 45,000 people pass that.
For the highlighted one?
Rosemary, you and I talked that the council, had expressed concern over the location of the boards. Most of our, people in our tournaments and most of the visitors from the polls the students are doing down in the harbor are in the Dallas and Austin and the northern market. And so the discussion that several have had, and please feel free to jump in, is, moving the current boards, which are, the San Antonio, and somebody mentioned one in the Harlingen area, which I didn't know we had one in Harlingen, but,
We have one down there.
um,
We can go, keep in mind that these are free boards, so we have to kind of go where they have room. We can suggest or request that we want to be in a certain area, but they won't guarantee it. We can go into the Dallas-Fort Worth market, and you and I talked about that market, and try to pick up a board there, and maybe we can get a negotiated rate for it. I can come back another time and look at that with you. But I did do the Dallas-Fort Worth Vacation and Leisure Travel Show in February. It was a new, because we had a little bit more money from the budget from last year, I went and I did that show. It was about $3,000 for us to do that show, but it was phenomenal. When I used to go to Houston, when we first started going to Houston 7 years ago, we would go in there and people would go, "Oh, Port Aransas, you're here," and we weren't Port Aransas, we were Aransas Pass. And now that we go in there, it was so frustrating, but now when we go in there, we're like, "Oh, Aransas Pass, we love you," and they pick up all of our stuff. So we sort of bought that market. Now they know we're here, and we're just giving them our information. When I went to Dallas, it was deja vu, same thing again. Where are y'all at? I've never heard of that. How far are you from here? Our visitor centers.
That's a perfect example.
Our
of
visitor
why-
centers have a little Texas map, and it gives you the location from where you are to Dallas and how many hours it was. We spent a lot of time. The difference was, in Houston, we spent a lot of time giving them everything that we have and how to get them. They already know it's here. In Dallas, we're telling them a story. We're selling our town, so it's a whole different market, and I really enjoyed it. So I think you're right. That's a market we need to be in, and we're going to continue to do that show.
Okay, when you say here the vinyls, didn't we just pay for that sometimes?
In July.
In July, I mean, was it July? I know we spent quite a bit on those.
Yeah,
And so
in
we
July.
have to do it again?
Well, we're about to redo them. Yeah, you have to, yeah, they wear out. You have to redo them, but Sylvia was telling me that y'all came up with some new designs that y'all want to start using. I have no problem changing them to whatever you want to change them to as long as we're out there.
I also have a question. This is just a question, because I know that we give 70% of our hotel motel money to the chamber. Isn't that part of that money supposed to be
We
used
do
to
have boards.
advertise?
We do, in addition to that, we also have boards in that
Okay,
money
so
that
we're
you have.
having to pay extra out of the, besides the 70,000 to continue,
Right.
the 70%?
Right.
To continue to advertise our town? Couldn't that be
No,
part of
the-
that?
The problem with that is that
I'm
first,
just
no,
asking.
it's okay. I'll answer your questions. There's 3 boards that are already out there all the time. In addition to that, we pick up seasonal boards, another 3 to 5 during the different seasons. Those are additional to these. This was an opportunity they gave us. In addition to that, we couldn't lock this. We could never lock this in for a year because we don't know if we're going to get that 16,000 additionally every year. We're on a percentage. So it's based on a percentage. So that's why we were not comfortable locking in this money.
But with the 70%, you get more than the 16, right?
With the 70%, we have 3 additional boards, and then we pick up seasonal boards too. In addition to that, we do commercials, radio, all the magazines, the visitor center overhead, and the guides that we do.
What's your rough budget you get from that? What's your rough budget you get from that for 70%, give or take, the past 2 years?
I think the year before last, it was 150, maybe this year was 170.
What is your total cost in advertisement?
I don't have that. I mean, I don't want to lie to you.
Okay,
It's
rough, 50,000?
probably 150,000, yeah.
Okay.
So if they don't, fund these 3 boards because the contract is up, those boards go away altogether?
The one board, San Antonio, will go away, and then all of the free boards will go away.
What was that, Billy?
Use all of them. We've got some out there already.
Those are just the ones that the city's paying for, they still have their so-called chamber of commerce out there.
Yeah, spend money to make money, that's all I have to say.
Advertisement.
Well, I think the concern is they were going to the Houston show covering the boards that we're covering now. The Houston show already knows we're there. She's new in the Dallas market, and so that had been the concern about pushing the boards into the Dallas and the Fort Worth market because they don't know us yet. And a lot of the traffic that we have down, we have a group, you guys heard about a group last council meeting doing a survey down in the harbor. A good majority of our folks are coming from up north. So, and that's really just word of mouth. So how do we capture that audience? And I don't even know if 16,000 is enough to do a board in the Dallas market or 2 boards in the Dallas market, but that had been a discussion because we're already saturated, so to speak, in the Houston area. So it's time to push up and try to get a wider reach.
The only thing is that we always have new traffic from Houston because like we said, it's the Eagle Ford Shell area. There's people coming in, from Louisiana. Those are always new people. Now we hit the markets and we do the vacation leisure travel shows, and if they're there, they're there, but a lot of those people are actually the people from Houston. Those are Houstonians, and so they're not necessarily the people you're going to see on the street driving back and forth once you leave Houston or once you leave Dallas, Fort Worth. So, I mean, obviously we're not going to be able to be in every area that we want to be, but if we can tap into, some of it, a little bit here and there along the lines, great. I just hate to see us give up some boards that are free, because we're not paying for the boards, they're free. We're only paying for the vinyls, and we're paying for the installation of those boards to go up.
How many free, again, 3?
I think you have it in front of you, there's probably, I don't know, what is there, 6, 7? There's only one that you're paying for, it's a $735 a month.
7 free ones? So this 16,000 is just for the vinyl and installation?
And the one board.
And the
one
one
that's,
San Antonio.
yeah, it's like 8,000, I think, Billy?
Yeah, it's
So
8,000.
what about the vinyl on the other 7 boards? The other
That's
7
the other
free?
8,000, that's the other 8,000 that we budget to change out the replacements and move them around.
Is this 8820?
No, the 8820 is just for the San Antonio board, correct?
Right.
Yeah, and then the other 8,000 you see is what we budget for that doesn't mean you're gonna use it all, it just means that's what they tell you. If that's what we had to do all year, this is what it would cost
The
you.
36 and the 38 are for those 7 other boards.
I can't see what you're looking at, so it's hard for me to.
I have average
Victor
annual,
Davis?
I have average annual replacement vinyls, 3625.
Yes,
I'm sorry, I guess I should have. I'm sorry. Public wanted to see that too. That's, 3625 and that 3875.
right,
Those are for the other 7.
those are the posting fees and and the designs.
So the other 7 boards are really $8,000 worth of cost.
No, you see the San Antonio board, the $8,000? That's the one board, and then everything else, right, is that.
So, but there's 36 plus 38 is almost $8,000
Mhm.
for the other 7.
It is 8,000. One is the one board is 8820, and all of the rest of it together is 8,000.
So not really free, they cost us $8,000
To keep them up.
to keep them up. And that's
Right.
really replacing what rips in the wind and.
Right, right.
Right. But if we did the one, like, for example, if we decided we were gonna pay for the one in the El Campo area that I was just telling you about that has all of the traffic, that one by itself is 8,400 for one board. So now we're gonna get all of these boards for 8,000 versus one board in one spot for
The
8,000.
locations of their choice.
Can we pick where we want the free boards or no?
You can probably pick your territory, but you won't pick the exact
The
spot,
exact
so they'll
spot,
move it
within the
around, yeah,
vicinity, yeah.
yeah.
Do you have a major map where all the locations of the free boards are available or not available, or what's taken, not taken?
I would ask them, like I did for the Houston one just now, when she told me about the El Campo, I said, give me everything that's available and the counts on them and how much they are. And that's what I got when I just gave you that sheet of the one picture. It's connected to, This is what she gave me. So this is this would be a packet. This is what they look like. So they would give you everything on 59, and it starts out with
Okay.
a map, and then it tells you the locations and the cost. So that's what we would do. If you pick a certain market, we would go in and they would send us something like that, and we would pick the location that we want. So if we said we wanted to be in the Dallas area or the Fort Worth area going into Fort Worth, they would send us a map on what's available and how much they would cost.
But it could be a subprime,
Yeah,
cause it's
yeah.
7 boards, $8,000. We could probably get 1 board in the other markets for that price.
But I have no problem going back to that market for another show. I mean, it was a really good show. I think it was worth the investment, and I would do it twice. It was really good. And it would probably cost us $3,000. So if we didn't do a board right away, or we couldn't get one, we could still do another show and just keep, doing stuff like that. Yeah,
I think the
Midland area.
Odessa area, I mean, is absolutely red hot. The Dallas-Fort Worth market, ridiculously hot. Austin, same thing.
And that could be something else we could look at too, doing another show in Austin, doing a show, maybe they have one in Midland that I don't know about. We could do those too.
These are all through Lamar.
Those are through Lamar.
We have Cooper boards in town, and Cooper's here to renegotiate their lease rates. Maybe that's a good opportunity for some leverage.
Good luck, because I've tried to get boards from them, and they lock you in on annuals
Well, their
in their
opportunity
markets.
is not have a board in Aransas Pens. Not have any boards. They have boards on city property.
Yeah. They have
So
some
we
pretty
have
big
an
boards too.
annuity? Like you said, you're locked in an annual, don't we have annuals right here?
Yes.
With Lamar?
Mhm.
So it's kind
But
of the same thing?
But they wouldn't give you the free boards. They lock you in for like $1,200 a month for a whole year. I've never been able to get anything like this out of them.
Mr. Cooper's given us a quote on a board down in the harbor. When he gets here next week, I'll call you. So
Okay.
maybe we can negotiate what we can get out of
Yeah.
them for the city.
Any other questions? Okay, this was good. Thank you. Do I hear a motion on item number 6?
Yeah, I'll make a motion, we approve the request of the Aransas Pass Chamber of Commerce for renting billboards for the city of Aransas Pass out of the hotel motel fund not to exceed $16,320.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 I voted no.
My name.
One nay.
Yes, but I have to
And
abstain.
abstain.
Feel left out? It happens, right? This brings us to item number 7. Be considered an act on waiving water, sewer, garbage bill from May 3rd, 2010 through October 30th, 2013 for Mr. Mac Oliver, NBA Martial Arts Studio located at 518 Bigelow, Conroe Harbor. Would you like to speak? No, you're a little under the weather.
I am. Thank you, council, for having me here again tonight. I know it seems like I come up here and visit y'all pretty frequently. There is an issue right now, okay, and I want to go ahead and throw that out there. The issue is, apparently there's a form, and I wasn't aware of it until today when she called me and asked me about it. I talked to my tax guy, and apparently there's a form that I didn't fill out or didn't get turned in time, and I am on a revocation list of the 501c3. And they said that if I'm on that list, the only way that I can get that back is by refiling it again. So I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there and let y'all know about that. I don't know if y'all knew that yet or not, but y'all do now. But
You haven't received the paperwork, right? We have.
excuse me.
Have you received the paperwork what we have right here or not?
Oh yes, I know what y'all have. That's something that we had submitted. I don't know when. I didn't receive the paperwork that I was revoked. No, I did not. And that's what I was talking to my tax guy today, because he didn't receive anything either. And he filed my last tax forms for the building and for the Oliver's Martial Arts on February 2nd. And he has not received anything saying that I was on this list.
The only thing I'm going to do, Mac, just to read this real quick, says the exemption organization select sheet check, the automatic revocation of exemption information, which right here, just what it says on top of all the titles come out. Says the federal tax acceptation, can't even say that word out. Exemption of the organization was automatically revoked for its failure to file a form of 990 series return on notice of 3 consecutive years. The information listed below of each of the organization is historical and it is current as of the organization's effective date, automatic revocation. The information is not necessarily current or as of today's date. Exception and been recognized by the IRS tax exempt after its effective date. Automatic revocation to check whether an organization is currently recognized by the IRS as a tax exempt. And it gives a phone number here to call.
So they were revoked in 2012, correct?
Yeah, that's what
And
it's
they
showing
hadn't
here.
filed in 3 years, so.
3 years. But,
That's what it's saying,
based on
yes.
that. So what you got?
So Alan, the question is, the original ordinance that took action listed them as a 501(c)(3),
And they're not.
and they're not. So that's not a valid ordinance or action anymore.
I think at the time it was.
It was valid when I first filed it. I mean, it's not saying that I never had the
Right.
501c3. It's saying that I was revoked last year because I didn't file that form in 3 years, consecutive years. And that's what my tax guy was telling me today when I talked to him after getting off the phone with her, was that the form that he filed was not the 990C, it was a different form. And he's thinking that he filed the wrong form. But they never informed me or him that I was on a revocation list. And that's what I'm saying.
What I'm saying is the original action that council took was based on the fact that you were a 501(c)(3). And you're not anymore. So that's why I'm asking the city attorney, if you're no longer that valid organization, does that original action stand anymore?
Well, no, it doesn't. He no longer qualifies. He's been revoked.
What action are you in reference to, something?
The original ordinance language that approved the action that council took was every ordinance, and Alan, feel free to jump in, every action that you take is based on a stipulation of things. It meets state law, da-da-da-da-da. The original action that was taken was based on the fact that he was helping at-risk youth. He was a 501(c)(3). He was gonna pay his own water sewer. There were stipulations. One of those conditions isn't valid any longer. And so that action has to be revisited, because that isn't valid anymore. It's no different when we have a lease down in the harbor and their insurance gets canceled, their liability insurance gets canceled. It nulls the agreement because you're not in compliance with the original action that was taken.
That's right.
I would
This has
ask
to be
that you
passed.
pass, yes.
Pass until-
I would ask that you pass on it and not take any action
Until it gets situated.
until he's situated, because the only other action at this point is to revisit your prior action. You can't even take action on this because
On
it's
this
not a
until-
valid, it wouldn't be a valid action.
And that's exactly why I brought it up before y'all voted on anything else.
Right.
I brought it up so that y'all would be aware of it, because I didn't know for sure if y'all were aware of it.
Okay.
And that's why I brought it up. I don't want y'all to think I'm trying to
No,
get
no,
away
the
with
way-
anything.
the way
I
you
mean, I've been
interpret it.
running this business as nonprofit for all these years. If I'd have known I didn't have it, then I could have been charging people. You see what I mean?
No,
And I definitely wouldn't have been coming up here every time we talked about nonprofits if I didn't think I had a nonprofit.
The only bad thing is about that, if anybody did donate, which I know you said some have,
Mm-hmm.
some haven't, or may have not, that they might think it was tax deduction because of it.
Yeah.
Something they need to be aware of. But yeah, we'll pass on this unless anybody has any objection. Until you get everything.
Now, let me ask you a question. Once I get this taken care of, if it's the whole revoking thing and I had to go back and file again, because he told me, my tax guy told me I'd probably have to refile everything I filed originally and repay the fee. So then do I need to come back and present that back to y'all and go through all the whole process again?
Show
And
them
that's,
if it's done or not.
Start over.
okay.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you.
So is our action at the next council meeting, Alan, to undo that action before, because it's not valid and he has to start over?
No, I don't think you need to do anything at this point till he
Dead.
starts over.
Just-
It just has to wait for you to start over.
There is no motion. There is no motion.
Just pass.
Pass it on.
All right. Thank you, Matt.
No, Mr. Peña is at work. But I can,
What we got on this?
item number 8, Mr. Peña leases or does a facility license agreement with the city of Aransas Pass and holds, softball tournaments. He's asking for the same, agreement, updating his dates for the 2014 season. His only additional request is that Public Works maintain the grounds twice a month as opposed to, we do it every 3 weeks right now. That's our normal, calendar. It's apparently not sufficient at this particular point in time because of the burrs and things that are out there, so he's asking Public Works to maintain it twice a month, which would add a few rotations to our Public Works schedule.
Do you have the agreement? What is the agreement currently? What does he pay us?
Do you have that agreement? I can't get the shared drive from here.
It's not,
I don't have anything in my packet.
It's not in your packet.
it's not in our packet. That's what we're asking.
We're having a little bit of a technology issue today. Basically what he does is he leases, he holds softball tournaments and he charges a team rate and then turns around and pays the city. The question had been whether he was as profitable as he said he was, and if the cost was sufficient enough for covering the city's costs and what we could actually do for that. I don't have a response. Last year we had an issue with PD having a tournament out there that wasn't included in his list of schedules, and so therefore it wasn't included in the amount of money he made. But that's been about the only issue with Mr. Peña, other than the maintenance of the facility.
They hold games on Sundays also.
If tournaments, if
Was
tournaments.
it a tournament this weekend?
I don't.
The reason I asked, I wouldn't buy that so much people to do it. Not sure I can get out on Sunday that way.
He does pay the electricity.
He pays $600 a month, due on the first of each month. Regular grounds maintenance. He's able to use concession privileges. as a whole harmless agreement. I don't see him paying his own utilities.
That's something we need to revisit. Agreement.
Cause he's not for
Just
like
add
a,
it to the total.
Yeah. Yeah.
$600 plus utilities is what you would like me to go back to Mr. Pena with?
and I would say even
You have to go
whatever
back
it's
down.
gonna cost the public works to add that second
Extra rotation.
rotation.
Paul, are the fencing and all that still in good condition? I know we replaced them, didn't we, or?
Yeah, we replaced some of the little league and we still got a little bit more areas to do, but, the stop signs are going down, we're walking.
Sure.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
I would suggest somebody make a motion to the effect that y'all just talked about, and the city manager could talk to you about it.
So what our motion should be to,
Utilities.
Include,
oh, a motion that we include
Yeah.
to negotiate the utilities
Yes.
and add
extra
an
rotation.
extra rotation of fee for the extra rotation. That's a motion.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
No opposed, right?
Could Ram vote?
Yeah. Grant you vote on that one. You did, you did.
Yes.
You've been abstaining.
Okay, that brings us to item number 8. Consider an act, okay, that passes on 8, excuse me, goes to item number 9. Consider an act on the Memorial Commission Chamber of Commerce appointment.
She's back up.
Rosemary, one more time.
This
It's
is,
a
this is the chamber appointment to the Memorial Commission.
I think I sent a letter, the Chamber Board recommended Paul Summers for this position. He is the most active in terms of keeping the community beautiful. He and only one or two other members of our chamber, Brenda and Ross McElweather, who are both members individually, they are the only 3 of our chamber membership that are actually that active in our community as far as beautification, and I think he was the best choice for us. So we're recommending Paul for that position.
Any questions? Excellent, thank you, Rosemary.
Thank you.
I make a motion, we approve the Paul Summers to the Ranges Pass Memorial Commission.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? One abstain.
Thank you, Ram.
Thank you. Mr. Summers, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for
Appreciate it.
volunteering.
Looking forward to working.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah. Let's bring us to item number 10. Consider an act on the zoning board of adjustments, which A is a term expiration for correction, and then item B is appointment of 2 alternate members.
Mayor and council, our planning commission and our zoning board of adjustment are 2 of our more critical boards. Our zoning board of adjustment is a quasi judicial board, meaning when the zoning board of adjustment renders a decision, the appeal is directly to the district court, bypass council altogether. Very, very important board, and right now, all 5 positions are expiring at the same time. We won't have a board. So, it's just a matter of correcting, some of the language and appointing, 2 alternate members, but I believe we only have 1 application for alternate, and that's Lisa Barker. Normally zoning board of adjustments, act on, for example, if your building was too close to a building line or you encroached on something, the zoning board of adjustment has the authority to waive those standards. But because a waiving of that standard has such an impact to the people around it, fire safety and all that, that's why the appeal is directly to court. Because there's usually a monetary value associated with that taking or that action.
Okay, so what, I don't have before us.
The language is, in your agenda packet. 5 members, each to be appointed by a resolution of the city council. So your action would be to, correct the term expiration, allowing for 2, allowing for two of the members to be,
2016.
extended. Yes, 2016.
See on the back here, you're seeing, staff recommendation.
Yes, that 3 board members' terms go ahead and expire on the 2015, and 2 board members expire 2016.
And also on this paper here, I see that you have applicant list consisting of 3 applicants, Ms. Barker, Armando Garza, and Randall Freeze also. You have that paperwork or not?
I don't have that.
Yeah, it's part of.
You got one here, one here?
Lisa Barker, Randall Freeze, and
Armando Garza.
Okay, I have a question on which two are we gonna move forward to 2016, or what's the 2 board members?
that's at the discretion of council.
Oh, okay.
Right now, Mr. Attaway is the chair, Don Brummett is the vice chair, Kathleen Sweat is a commissioner, Mr. Covington is a commissioner, and Captain Fred is a commissioner, with Lisa Barker, Randall Freeze, and Armando Garza listed as alternates, so council would have to vote on 2 alternates. And then also vote on the 2 terms that would, move to 2016.
So 2 will go to 2016 and the other 2 go over.
The other 3 would would go ahead and expire 2015, and 2 would expire 2016. Alan, would you recommend the chair and the vice chair?
I would.
Or,
Either one to be extended?
or the chair and a commissioner to be extended to 2016?
I think we should do a chair and a commissioner.
That'd be fine too.
I think the best thing to do is probably just put the name in a little hat and draw. You have two chairs and 3 commissioners. Anybody have an objection to that? They'll give Mr. Attaway, Mr. Brummett a chance for a chair equally, and then the other 3 commissioners a chance also. We have extra paper anywhere?
We can make it real quick.
All right. It's not on the shared drive.
Or I can just put it on I can just put it up on the computer and we can poll you. I mean, we could poll you as well, unless you want to just draw names.
That'd be the quickest way.
Yeah.
The drawing names quicker?
Let's just draw names.
Let's give both of their draw one name.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't have a hat. So does anybody have a hat?
There you go.
There you go. We're just those are just the chair or
These
the
are all 5.
five? So first chair pops up and then,
The first 2 that you pick will be extended to 2016.
There you go, sounds good.
that's a lot of each. That's just one paper.
Who is that?
Fred.
Okay.
Captain Fred,
Okay, 2016?
2016.
Good.
And Don Brummett, vice chair.
2016.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the use of that.
So now council must appoint 2 alternates from the 3 applicants. And we can poll the council. Lisa, Randall, and Armando. You wanna start, Vicky?
Sure. Have Lisa and Randall.
Okay.
Lisa and Armando.
I'll go for, Lisa and Armando.
I'll go with Armando and Lisa.
The two appointments are Lisa Barker and Armando Garza.
Motion.
Need a motion?
Okay. Make a motion, we extend the terms for Donald Brummett to 2016, Captain Fred Comagore to 2016, and adding Lisa Barker and Armando Garza to the list as alternates to the Board of Adjustments.
Second the motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
This will bring us to item number 12.
11.
Oh, okay, item number 11. Consider an act on delegating Aransas Pass City Manager Sylvia Carrillo and her designee to the position of responsibilities created and described in the Aransas Pass Code of Ordinance, Section 24-4, approval of plats.
Mayor and council, in the local government code, section 212, and our ordinance is written perfectly in line with that, back in 1959, hallelujah, gives authority if there's a minor replat where no extension of utilities, no extension of street, nothing like that can be approved administratively, so we don't take the customer through planning commission, city council action. That authority is already granted in the code. The step that's missing is granting me authority or the building official or my designee to be able to sign off on the plat. So this is just really a ministerial action.
Any questions?
Nope.
Mr. Bregler? You good, Frank? Excellent. So do I hear a motion on number 11?
Okay, I make a motion that we approve City Manager Sylvia Carrillo or her designee to be selected as delegate to represent the position created and described by their City Municipal Ordinance 24-4, approval of plats.
Second the motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, item number 12. Consider an act on approving the sale of 3 HK 9mm UMP firearms, serial numbers 161-000631, number 161-000632, and 161-000633, with the unattached suppressors to the City of Ingleside Police Department for $1,500. Glenn?
We have 5 of these UMP select firearms. They were built specifically for the police department by H&K. The previous administrator had bought them with drug funds. We're not using them. I don't like the idea of really issuing them out, fully autos. 2 of them are in use. The other 3 are not being used. The 2 that are in use are assigned to the guys that are assigned to the DEA. And they actually have a need to use those for entries and stuff like that. These 3, the City of Ingleside had approached us when we had expressed the desire to get away from using them. Chief Stan Minor said he'd like to purchase them. The only place they can go is to the shredder or to another police agency. This sale would replenish our funds with the Fed Drug Fund. That $1,500 would go back into the Fed Drug Fund. And this is a market price, fair market price that we came up through talking with H&K.
And that's more than the shredder's gonna pay us, right?
We probably have to pay the shredder. the firefighter.
Right. No, that's fine, thank you.
1,500 for all 3
It's
or individually?
1,500 for all 3. Right now, they can go with the newer model. It's around $1,100, I believe, is what Ingleside had found through H&K. So it's about $500 for a gun. To me, that's a benefit. Otherwise, we'd have to destroy them or just hold on
motion, we sell 3 HK 9mm UMP firearms to the City of Ingleside Police Department for $1,500.
Second the motion?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Eric. Right. Number 13, presentation by our Public Works Director. Mr. Arvado, what do you got?
Do you need me to pop in the little DVD thing?
Yes, he's got a DVD. This is Paul Alvarado, Public Works Director, City of Aransas Pass. This is Barry Deal with Asphalt Zipper. He's gonna present a piece of equipment that we demoed today. If anybody wants to see what it did, it's off Lamont, North Lamont, and Cleveland. And he did a little job there, and it was about 200 feet by 8 foot. And it looks like it's done, but it's not. We still have to do a little bit more work to it. But if you pass by there, anybody wants to pass by there today during the week, it looks like it's a completed job, but it's actually not. We just have to do some co-mix on it. So this is Mr. Barry Deal here with Asphalt Zipper.
The City of Aransas Pass had originally purchased an asphalt zipper. We talked about maintenance of our streets, and we turned it around and sold it to Ingleside.
We sold an older model.
I'm sorry?
An older model.
No. Yes, but we had it for less than 3 years. it's not the prettiest, looking road when you're done. It's not gonna be a nice, pretty blacktop, concrete, City of Houston, City of San Antonio road, but
It's gonna look like a roller coaster on
no,
Highland?
no, it's not. I mean, this application would be very good at the harbor and a lot of our streets. Highland is probably beyond what this machine could repair because of the infrastructure issue underneath at Highland. If Highland was just a matter of the roadway, yes, but we've got stuff underneath to fix. But, we have the issue with development we're gonna talk about later on. What that zipper can do will hold the weight of our emergency vehicles, which is important for street access, neighborhood access on some of those paper streets.
What is the exact machine you're looking to buy? What size?
What is it, 124,000?
Is it AZ 500 or?
Yes. The machines now, compared to the one you had, we were able to mail, like, we didn't have to take the street down today. We were able to 1/8 of an inch.
Okay.
It's,
So, and that means you didn't have to tear up the street. The street wasn't bad, the base was still good, the surface was, so we were just able to mill that off. Those
It's-
old machines, they
it's like an upgrade to the one that you saw on that tape. The one he
Is that-
did, he brought in today, it's an upgrade. And we have a loader that picks it up.
And a lot of our streets really just need that minimum milling, taking it down 1 inch
Yeah.
and coming back with about 2 inches of material, and that's just a long term. It just extends the life of the street, so we're not facing multi-billion-dollar street issues, or multi-million-dollar street issues down the road. It's just simple maintenance, which we've not been
It'd be
doing.
less potholes too.
That's good.
Yeah.
just a couple things. By the way, I texted all my grandkids and told them I was on TV, so.
Just a couple things. I've only sold one other thing besides asphalt zippers, and that was Little League baseball candy 100 years ago. Okay, so I'm just letting you know that the only reason I can do this is because I was raised in a small town where we didn't have access to contractors and stuff. It was expensive for them to come out. And you're kind of in the same thing here. You don't just get the machine with us, you get us. And we will come out and we're full free consulting the whole time you're on the machine. And we practice full depth reclamation like they did here. That it's by the way is Teaks. I don't familiar with Teaks.
Green.
It's very green, and it's going to be eventually where you can't haul things off. And Albert, who did a great job today, I wanted to give Albert a plug, made a great comment. He goes, I have this stuff here that we already own, but they send me to Corpus Christi to buy it, and it looks exactly like this. So I'm going to cut your material cost conservatively by 50%, and that doesn't include driving to Corpus Christi, man hours gone, coming back, wear and tear on the truck. And if you look on page 12 of your brochure I gave you, it'll show you the difference in material and cost and everything for a quarter-mile of road. And that's the process that Terry was talking about. That's the process that's endorsed by Teaks. And that's what we'll teach you. But we'll also show you how to manage your alleys, how to fix your potholes, how to fix. We even are great on Little League fields.
Councilmember Gomez.
I don't.
Councilmember Gomez had an issue with some alleys today, so I'm glad you brought up.
Yeah,
alleys.
no, you can literally, you'll end up taking material back to your barn. Most of my cities, they end up with an excess of material because you can't go over your gutter on your curb. If you do, you'll have a drainage problem. But anyway, I can tell you this: there's low-hanging fruit here, and and I'll stand behind the machine 100%. Our customer service speaks for, and you have two commissioners in this county that own the machine. Fred Nardini and Alma both own, and they're all around you. We sell more in Texas than anywhere else in the world. TxDOT is our largest customer in the world, and we've been around for 20 years. And the last thing, for trenching, if you have any type of utility problems, it's an excellent trenching machine. You don't have to beat up your machine. It'll just zip right through it. So it's, I don't know of a more universal way for a small town to survive. And I sold one to a town, Huntington, Texas, and there are 2,000 people. And that city manager said two things that really stuck with me. He says, for a small town to survive, you got to have two things. You got to have good water, you got to have good roads. And it looks like you're doing okay on the water, but you could use some help on your roads. Is there any questions?
That's why you're here.
What is the maintenance plan on this piece of equipment?
The maintenance?
Do you service it, your company service it? Do we service it?
We service it, or you, like, it's a Cummins engine, the one you're looking at, you can take it to any Cummins dealer. We have the highest uptime of any attachment machine. Out of every 20 attachments sold in the world, 19 of them are an asphalt zipper, just for what it's worth. And but you know, you change the oil, you change the gear oil, you change the teeth, you knock out the filter, and you grease it. That's it. It's simple. I was raised in a 1956 Super M Farmall. I was a farm boy out in the middle of nowhere in the Panhandle, and the thing I hated the most about that machine was when it broke down, I could fix it, because that meant I had to keep working. And the zipper's the same way. It's very simple to work on, and it comes with a trailer, and so you don't, any other attachment, you know, I don't know how you're going to get under it, but I want to set it on the trailer to get under it, and it's just the safest one there is, and it also has the lowest line. It has the highest vision as far as from the loader where you can see, and there's a reason that we're rated above Caterpillar. You know, we're rated above Virkin, Iron Wolf, all of them. And that's why TxDOT loves us, because our patent is the bucket. Because if your loader goes down, all you got to do is rent another loader, borrow another loader, and you're still up. Any other machine, you're done. And if you buy a new loader, guess what? Your zipper's compatible. And it costs about $3,000 to upgrade minimum every time to any type of quick connect. So that's the beauty of the machine, and that's why TxDOT loves it, because they have 15 different types of loaders.
You have a price on this yet?
This one is $124,695, but I have demo units that are reduced, but we are HGAC approved, so you don't have to go to bid. We offer 3% financing right now, and you wouldn't have a payment for a year, and the payment on this machine is $25,000 to $26,000 a year.
We're presenting this to council. The USDA has a couple of grants I'm going to talk to you about in the city manager updates, but the plan is we have some salary savings. If council is amenable, then at the next council meeting, we're going to have an action item. We have sufficient savings within the budget this year to go ahead and do I call them lease purchase, they're finance purchases basically. But then there's some other funding opportunities we'll talk about in a little while.
Yeah.
But I think we cannot not purchase a piece of equipment like this. Our city, at the growth rate that we're occurring and all of the paper streets that we have within the municipality, it's important to maintain and continue to build our roadways.
And if there's anything that makes you feel better about safety numbers, there were, 4 machines purchased in this area in the last 3 months. And Cameron, Texas, which is about 5,000, approved theirs tonight at the city council. And we stand behind our machine. I mean, if it doesn't do anything that we say it doesn't do, we'll come get it.
Any questions?
Well, I want to thank y'all for having me.
You need to turn around and say hi to your grandkids.
Yeah. By the way, my daughters all said American Idol's on. They didn't weren't going to watch me, but my grandkids said yes. So I still got a few of them.
It's going to be recorded so they can watch you over and over.
There we go. There we go. But thank y'all for having me, and I appreciate y'all's interest. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hope you enjoyed the street.
to item number 14, consider an act on selected engineer firms to represent the city of Aransas Pass.
Mayor and council, we went out for RFQ for request for qualifications for engineering firms. As you're aware, we've been removing our current firm over the last several weeks. We had 5 firms: LNV Engineering, LAN Engineering, RVE Engineering, Govan Engineering, and CH2M Hill, all expressed interest in wanting to do business with the city of Aransas Pass. Council appointed myself, Yvonne, and Paul to score the engineering documents. Input from you was it was important to have a firm who had an owner, a local representative who could pick up the phone when called, who could put the necessary resources on the ground. And so with that being said, the 2 highest firms that staff would recommend council appoint, because we'd like for you to appoint more than one. It's important that the firms understand how important we want our customer service to be and the necessity of the variety of projects within the city. LNV was the highest scoring firm, seconded by RVE Engineering. Those are the 2 firms staff would recommend moving forward with and doing business with the city of Aransas Pass.
Questions? Brad?
Amanda's getting the scoring sheets. We had 7 projects, 7 categories, and the one category that was weighted the most was, again, local ownership. 2, their ability for construction inspection, construction management, boots on the ground that would be on site at a particular construction project, and also coaching staff through a project. Partnering with staff, being an extension of staff. That's what we want our firm to, more than anything, embrace, that they are a partner with us. They're not necessarily working with us, but rather beside us.
They're gonna be charging us like basement?
Every project is on a per project basis. Typically, engineering fees should be about 10% of a project. So we've got a lot of projects coming up. We've got Matlock, we've got 2725, we have 1069, we have all of the work on the harbor, we have all of the environmental projects, we have all of the bond issuance, the water tower thing. I know we've clarifier. We've got a lot going on. All of the development standards, streets, drainage, FEMA.
Yeah.
Well, I make a motion that we approve LNV and RVE Engineering.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll bring us to item.
Mr. Vedito with RVE Engineering is present, and I'm not sure Mr. Pedalis is present with LNV Engineering.
It's gonna be a pleasure to do business with you 2 gentlemen.
Thank you.
That brings us to item number 15, consider an act on selected engineering firm for the Matlock Water Line Project.
Again, we removed the current engineer. We went out for rebid in conjunction with Grant Works. We are on an expedited schedule to get the Matlock Water Project up and running. The 2 firms that submitted were LNV and RVE. LNV scored the highest, 60 out of 60, RVE 58 out of 60, and that was really because of reference criteria. We were unable to get some reference phone calls. Both companies more than adequate to do the work. Staff would recommend LNV be appointed the engineer of record.
How long is the Matlock distance water line?
25. It's a water line. We should have been done in 4 months, but
Still working on it.
we're still working on a plan. And if you'll recall, this is a grant project, and it is predominantly serving an underserved area. The water line that is there is minimal. It does not serve adequate fire protection. So when we had the fire, we were unable to hook up adequate water pressure to put out the fire, the very large fire. So that would alleviate some of that issue.
Do I hear a motion to select a LAV?
I make a motion to select LNB as the engineering firm of record for Matlock Water Line Project.
Second the motion.
All fair say aye.
Aye.
Bring us to item number 6. 16. My bad.
Mayor and council, staff came before you, we talked about a variety of projects on, thank you. We talked about a variety of projects on Google Earth, if you'll remember this map that we talked about, all of the extension of lines and the potential projects. Council, remember that map? We're at a point now where, we're going to be prioritizing those projects, so we would like to schedule a workshop. Staff's gonna come back to you with those projects and some estimated costs. We don't have actual costs yet because you'll have to pick the project and then we'll go out for actual construction bids. We need that information prior to going to bond council because that language is gonna be specific on the bond sale. So we put a calendar in front of you. We'd like to do it a week from today, or at any point next week that works for the council.
I can't do Tuesday nights, so any day but Tuesday nights. Oh, I can do Saturday. You might not like it.
We could also do it, if council so chooses, the day of the council meeting. Thank you, Chief. The day of the council meeting, we just move the meeting earlier. That's
Hard time getting here early.
yeah, that's pushing it because we've got to assemble things after you decide and move on to bond council, but
The 27th?
I'm easy now. I'll do anything. No, that doesn't sound good. Excuse me.
Any day?
I'm good with any day.
Lamont, is that okay with you?
No, not gonna.
well, I can work with the mayor with the priority list and
Let him,
Yeah.
and come back and make sure his information is inputted.
Where's good for you?
so the 27th at 7 o'clock? March the 27th at 7. That's a motion.
At City Hall.
At City Hall.
City Hall.
At
Second
Francis
motion.
Pass.
All fair say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Thursday, March 27th, 7 p.m., City Hall.
Okay, Ms. Carrillo, it's up to you. Item 17.
Before I let Mr. Pedales get on with the engineering update, I wanted to give you, this has been a very crazy month. One, we're working on our emergency plan. Bill has, we had, it's not GrantWorks, it's another agency locally that helps coastal cities come in and do an analysis of our emergency plan and show us where our big holes are, so to speak. And so they're working with Bill, and Bill's working with our surrounding areas, working with our HEBs, working with everybody that should be a partner with us in an emergency situation that theoretically thinks they're going to work with the city of Aransas Pass, but we don't have any formal agreements, we don't have any logistical information, so Bill's been hard at work putting that emergency plan together. The month has been very difficult because as, I don't know if the council is aware of, well, obviously you're aware of what's going on in the Ukraine with the gas line, with Russia and the U.S., but what that has done is that has expedited. We have a local company, Cheniere, who is doing liquefied natural gas. There is a permit in progress. The permit is moving at a little bit faster rate than it was, and it's expected to be approved. So we have a lot of land speculation happening in the city of Aransas Pass. We have people knocking on the doors that are buying 5-acre tracts of land, raw, undeveloped land, who come to the city and say, you need to put in a street, I need an address, we gotta get a building up, I'm going on septic, and I'm gonna apply for a well. That is not how development works. That is not what cities do. That is not orderly development. So most of the past week and the week prior have been, one, not only educating staff, but also there's a serious education that needs to happen with the realtors. You may have some citizen comments today where people sunk their life savings and bought 5-acre tracts of land on the belief that they could do certain things. Yes, the use is there, the zoning is applicable for building a home, but the extension of the water, sewer, the extension of the streets, and everything else is always borne by the developer. I keep telling you time and time again that our 1959 codes are perfect. There's not a whole lot we need to update. Our city forefathers were very, very, very smart in the codes that they put in. We just have not been following them. We have not been following them as a city, and that has not been the historical staff action either. So we're not reinventing any wheel. In fact, we're just trying to get back to basics. And one of those basics, which is why the asphalt zipper is so important, is access to the property. We have a lot of paper streets that are just sand roads. The codes are very clear. When they're building in the city, they've got to have fire protection. Our fire trucks have got to be able to reach them. They cannot on a sand street. So part of the cost for development is they have to put in a minimal base street so that the trucks and the police cars and our emergency vehicles can get to them. That's an expensive proposition for some people, and they're very angry that they're buying property and that cost is theirs. They're being told that that is a city cost. The city's going to put in the street, the city's going to put in water. You're a taxpayer, the city should do it.
Falls on the developer.
It falls on the developer, yes, sir. So over the next couple of months, we're going to be working with the two firms that were identified, updating our development standards. Well, maybe just refreshing the development standards because they're good, but also going out on an education piece to the public and to our realtor community that you really should not sell a piece of property under the pretext that it's developable without full due diligence. Now, I will take the responsibility for some of the staff for relaying misinformation and sometimes downright incorrect information, but that does not relieve the developer or the realtor from understanding what minimum state law is. Minimum state law for fire protection, minimum state law to get an ambulance and a fire truck down a street. So if the council hasn't already heard from some pretty upset people, hang on. And it's not that I want to stop development. Trust me, I've been doing this for a long time. The development side excites me to no end. I love it, but I also understand what happens when you don't do it right. We end up with a colonia. We end up with a city that is not attractive. And that's not what we want. We want to grow. We want to be a beautiful city, more beautiful than we are already. And if we don't put in some of the standards and hold our ground on some of these things, that's not what we'll end up with. I do need to tell you, I have 3 proposals for growth as well. I have a proposal for a hotel. I will be coming to the council for a incentive package on April the 7th. I have a proposal for a townhome condominium development on the harbor, also a incentive package that will be coming to the council on the 7th. And we have the potential for Butter Churn, who is relocating to the Allen Samuels outlying parcels, would like to approach the council about an incentive package. Negotiating through all of the cost of development for those people before we bring it to the council, but I just wanted to let you know that's out there. We are also in negotiations with the city of Ingleside. There is a 70-unit subdivision that is planned. The property straddles exactly Ingleside and Aransas Pass, but the utilities are served by the city of Aransas. The developer is trying to get Ingleside to enter into a cost-sharing agreement of some sort, and Ingleside is not amenable to that. So the developer may sell off that parcel and just build on the Aransas Pass side. But he will also be coming to the council for cost-sharing on extension of a sanitary sewer system. That's at Saunders and Beasley. That's what I have at the moment. Oh, I wanted to mention the USDA portion. There is a community facilities grant. I was at the Rockport Chamber. The USDA came and did a presentation. They are funding community facilities through the use of lending proceeds. It's basically a guaranteed loan to the bank. So we're gonna go out to our local banks and ask them to participate in the program. It is a 2.5% to 3% loan that they'll amortize over 30 to 40 years. It basically would mean the purchase of a fire truck, the purchase of a public safety building facility, at some very, very low rates. The crime board is very, very interested in partnering with the city to build such a facility for fire and public safety. And obviously, we are already looking into a fire truck and some fire safety equipment, so it would be a way to stretch that $1.50 fee per month to be able to acquire some of that equipment. That's it. And Mr. Pedales has the annexation update I promised you last week.
Excellent.
He was ready this week.
He was ready.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. It's a pleasure to be with you again this evening. It's an enjoyable drive from Corpus Christi to Aransas Pass, and it's, as I said, just a pleasure to be with you this evening. Since we last spoke, we've gone back and we've done a preliminary overview of about 5,500 acres to the west and to the south of the existing city. So we've really gone out there, gone all the way out to the city's ETJ line to see what kind of strategy we can come up with for extending the city limits and getting a better, providing the staff with better means to manage growth in those areas. So we focus primarily in 3 areas, and I'm just going to give you some general descriptions because we're not to the point of formal meets and bounds yet. Now that we've identified the basic areas, sub areas, and looked at some of the existing development, the next thing we're going to have to do is take a little closer look at the service plans, look at what it's going to take to provide water, sewer, streets, and et cetera, and maintain services out in these areas, and get a better idea of the cost effectiveness of these actions. We wouldn't want the city to go out and annex areas that would have a negative impact on the city's financial situation. So we want to look for areas for the city to grow that make sense in all ways. The first general area that we look is basically if you go out to the Lowe's on the west side of the city, and using FM 1069 as your north-south boundary, just draw a half circle around Lowe's with a 1 mile radius.
Lowe's is this blue. The proposed hotel is right here, so it would be a friendly annexation. Extension of utilities down there. So Johnny's looking at this.
Basically go out a mile, which is the depth of the city's ETJ based on its population, and just draw a half circle beginning at 1069 and ending at 1069. And the population and development in this area is relatively light to where we could take the exempt approach, which is very expedient and can take place in a relatively short time frame.
That is absolutely critical. We've got the proposed hotel, if council can agree on the incentive package, but there's an extension of a water sewer line here with a few manholes that ends up opening this entire area, exacerbated by the 1069 work that should be done by next summer, and this area right here will absolutely explode.
Right.
So there again, this area, I'm sorry that it sounds a little vague, but it has to be at this point in time for various reasons. There's a very detailed notification process that needs to take place, and we have to have all of our ducks in a row before we really get going down that road. But that's the general location of the first area. We have to go back and do complete our homework, visit with city staff, get a good feel for the existing services and what it will take to extend services. So that's the first area. Second area is if you move down a little bit, it's again, if we turn north and south, if you start a line maybe a block south of Wheeler, basically behind the Walmart, and go parallel to Wheeler, and that's your east, your northern boundary, FM 1069 will be your west boundary. Avenue A will be your east boundary. And the Ingleside north city limits, which I think is Collins Lane, will be your southern boundary. So we've got basically just a big rectangle there.
Right here?
Yes. Now, some of this area is fairly densely developed, and I can tell you right off the bat, at least roughly half of that will not qualify for exempt annexation because it is relatively developed. There's a lot of houses, a lot of rooftops in that area, and that will not qualify for exempt annexation proceedings.
That's important for us because, again, we have the 1069, part of the bond funds from the prior sale, as well as grant funds that we used as matching funds, as well as TxDOT repair, which opening water is 75% of the issue. So once you open up and upgrade that water line along with that road, this entire corridor is really going to explode commercially. I see retail shopping centers, I see strip developments along that corridor.
So there again, right now, we're looking at geography and existing development, as well as the regulatory or the legal restrictions as far as annexation.
TxDOT has approached us recently. They will be, in addition to the 1069 work, they're going to be doing some drainage work here. This is Walmart. Walmart drains in this direction, and then here's another drainage issue. Well, what's happening is the grade and things, as development has occurred, it's overflowing, which is why when we get a light rain, baseline data floods, and this portion of Wheeler floods. So TxDOT is coming in and resolving a bit of that flooding issue, but we'll also probably have to redig that out. And here, this is an RV development. If we've already talked to the developer as well about the drainage impact if that gets filled, and so that's basically a no-go if he proposes to fill that because the water has to go somewhere. But
Yeah, so that's the second area that we've taken a close look at. The third and last area we've taken a close look at, basically you have to go over closer to the intersection of Highway 361 and 2725. Beasley Street is the southern boundary of the existing city limits. And basically, you start at Beasley Street and go south all the way to what used to be Baker Marine. I think it's something else now. Gulf Marine, excuse me. So starting at Beasley Street and all the way down to the water at the very point of the landmass. Now, the existing development along this strip is right at the breaking point, based on our review of satellite photography and other information that we have readily available. It's right at the tipping point. So for the time being, we're breaking it into two sections. So the first section is going to stop, I believe it's 12th Street. If you're in Ingleside, it's 12th Street that comes across. Sometimes, no, that's it, 12th Street, right there near the intersection of 361 and 2725. So that would be a sub area within this section. If the development is, if the roof count is such that we have to break it into two pieces, we will be looking at breaking this piece out first and then following up with the rest subsequently.
what may complicate that matter is those rooftops were not necessarily permitted rooftops. This is where we have the area with the bad septic and the water line extensions that we're working with the county to try to resolve. So what he's bringing up in aerial may not be a legal connection. So
And the way the statutes actually read is lots with residential occupancy, basically. So if you're counting rooftops, there may be 3 or 4 rooftops on one lot. Well, it counts as one lot. So after we visit with staff and get our infrastructure information together and our service plan together, the next major step is to go to the courthouse and start, or to the appraisal district and start getting detailed ownership information so we can start counting the lots and determine the current business use, check for agricultural exemption and so forth. But it's we got off to a little bit of a slow start, but I feel like we're making up time as we progress. And that's all the information I have this evening, but I'd be glad to answer any questions you may have at this point.
Philip wants to know when you're going to be done.
Well, the surveyors are working on the meets and bounds and that part, and I'm and some other staff are working on the other end. So we're taking a team approach to it to expedite it and get it done as quickly as possible.
I don't know if council is aware, but our city limits go all the way out here. We've actually been contacted by Martin Midstream as well on, some road improvements out there that are necessary for their truck.
I'm glad Ms. Carrillo brought that up. The city's leaders in the past, I think, made a very strategic move in going out and annexing a lot of that water area. What that did was establish a fairly large footprint for the city of Aransas Pass. The amount you can annex each year is a % of your existing area. So it's given us a lot of room to work with.
But this year, because we haven't, it's 10%, we haven't annexed, so this year we're up to 30?
Right, you can accumulate, you can save your credit for up to 3 years, so that's 30%. So 30% of 33,000 is nearly 10,000 acres. Probably not a feasible thing to do, but
You just gave Eric a heart attack. You just gave the chief a heart attack. You didn't hear the deep sigh that came from.
But we are currently looking at about 5,500 acres. So it's a pretty significant area or addition. But there again, as I mentioned before, we're looking at the different components and issues associated with expanding territory in that magnitude, and want to make sure that it's a good move for the city.
Council, I'm sorry, I skipped over a code enforcement update, so if Mr.
Thank you.
Pellis, you have
Good
any
night.
questions for Mr. Pellis? I just wanted to give you a quick code enforcement update on some before and after pictures of what we were doing, what we're doing on the code enforcement side. That is the map between November and March, all of the contacts that we have made throughout the city on a code enforcement basis. The blue boxes are multiple contacts. I want to get to the before and after. That's what the citation looks like. It's a description and it has a picture of the violation. So there's the before and after. Those are some of the more telling shots of what Michael and Robert and the crew are actually doing to help clean up Aransas Pass. Yeah, couldn't even see that building on that left-hand picture. But it is only a drop in the bucket. It is only a drop in the bucket, and we're addressing. I know this is new for Aransas Pass, and to have somebody in PD garb come knock on your door is not necessarily what you want to have happen to you on a Friday morning or a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning. But the first initial contact is trying to be, hey, this is what we're looking at. You have multiple violations if you do this. So we're working through some of that. Obviously, the code enforcement as police contact, it's never a good contact, but we're working with trying to make it a better contact, so to speak. You wanna add anything?
Oh, just that, we've talked around, we've heard around too. I've actually had people come in and compliment on the actual feel of the change from the community. The stats are one thing, but what they feel and realize is something completely different. And they're realizing, I'm really proud with the progress. Really appreciative of the city's
state your name, and you have 3 minutes time limit to say what you would feel like saying. Any takers?
My name is Carol Salinas. I have 3 issues. Do I get 9 minutes? I will make it fast. Code enforcement, that I think they've done a great job. I can see the difference in town. There's a lot left to do, but I can see the difference. The lots, the houses, and the city actually demolished their own building. And I did not know that would make such a difference. Just even with the rubble, I can see it's going to look so much better. My next thing, there's been a lot of talk about the Republic services, our trash pickup. I just want to say I've had a great experience with the service that I get personally. I don't know when I have had a day missed for my pickup. They may come at 7 in the morning or they may come at 4 in the afternoon, but they come on the right day every day. I've been very fortunate, and the brush pickup is just great. I can clean my property, haul it out, and I know they're going to pick it up. And I see that happening all over town. I'm going to talk about Christmas lights because beautification seems to be a big deal lately. This is an odd time of year. I don't know when's the best time to bring it up, but I drove all over this town. We could not, I mean, it's very depressing. We had that one Christmas tree in front of City Hall. There was not a business on Commercial, no restaurant, no banks, no businesses that had lights. I've never been in a town that the businesses did not try to decorate for Christmas. The city has some kind of, I think it's a rope thing around some of the poles that you can barely see. You have to look to see them there. I'd like to see, and since the chamber is here, I'd like to see maybe a suggestion, have a contest for the businesses, and if the city is going to do any kind of grant or funding type thing, maybe contribute, that the businesses compete with each other. And the residential area was not real great either. There was one area on the north side of town, beautiful. I think that section, whoever does that, they put a lot of time and a lot of money. But if our business area doesn't have some kind of decoration, something to go look at and be proud of, the residents, I guess, just don't really care any either. But I did want to bring that up before budget talks and for the chamber, but I wish there was something we could do, and that's it.
Can I address the commercial?
Yes.
I will tell you that, Carol, it's not for lack of the business owners on Commercial wanting to do it. They have historically been told they cannot do it because that is a TxDOT right-of-way. They couldn't decorate the trees. They were not allowed to put any sandwich boards and things. And they are correct. TxDOT does have the right-of-way all the way to the building line. However, TxDOT also has other mechanisms to allow for awnings and sandwich signs and bistro tables. So we're working through some of that. Rock and Bee and Rialto, I think, who have the 2 big trees out in front, are going to light those trees this year on their own, quote-unquote, nickel with the lights. It's the city electrical. Plus, a lot of our electrical in that area doesn't work. The lights don't work. The electrical connections don't work. So part of TxDOT's commitment to us is in that beautification corridor, they will be redoing the section of Commercial, and then we're going to go in and also upgrade the electrical and upgrade some of those systems. So it's a partnership that's been missing, and I think the businesses have suffered for some time.
I'm glad to know that. I just was so disappointed in our businesses. I couldn't believe that none of the businesses would do anything for Christmas. So it's not all your fault.
Yes, sir.
My name's Douglas Carr, live at 1270 Oak Park Drive, Rances Pass. I'd like to bring a picture up and show you if I may.
Sure. What What is the picture of, Mr. Carr?
Picture is of, the truck going the wrong way on the street from my house.
Go to-
Mentioned to you,
Just see video.
I mentioned to him on two occasions. There's 15 cars parked at the house across the street from me. 8 in front, about 8, 7 right in the back.
All in the same house.
All the same house. I don't know how many requests for me. Fire hazard, there's gasoline, cars back in the back of that house. There's 2 drivers at that house. I don't know what to be done, but it's a danger to everybody in there.
Right.
It's just got to be beside the point. I don't, like I said, know what can be done. But it's a safety hazard. But, it's beside the point. I can't hardly get in and out of my drive.
What was the address? What was the address?
Oak Park, right?
It's in Oak Park, it's across the street, 1270 Oak Park. It breaks right there from 1270 to 1300, so it's like 1268.
Where in reference to, Dorothy Coleman?
She lives right behind me.
Okay, so it's right there. I thought I recognized that area.
But anyway,
And the issue is
The amount of cars that are parked out there in that one house.
the amount of cars.
I mean, a lot of them are antique cars. I mean, there's 56 Chevy, there's 260 Chevrolet pickups. Not a lot of antique cars. But there's, and people are really nice folks.
Right, right.
Great people. Well,
We could look closer into that house tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
he's been by there, I showed him.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll follow up.
Okay.
Really would. Really would think over it.
Appreciate Mr. Carr, you coming up. Ms. Salinas.
Extra free.
Carol Salinas, and I just want to, I think that man that just walked back there lives in my neighborhood. I have one code enforcement is aware of. There are 11 cars parked. It's on a corner. They're double parked. They surround a stop sign. Kids, bicycles, I mean, there's not that many drivers in that house. Half of them don't run. They are working on motors. And so I can sympathize with that man because I've got the same problem. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Is there anybody else who'd like to address the council? Yes, sir, Ms. Summers?
I'd just like to give y'all an update on the landscaping project down at the tower. If y'all haven't had an opportunity to ride down there, I'd encourage y'all to go look at it. The fence has been pulled by the city. The palm trees were planted last Saturday. Not the landscaping, but the irrigation system was repaired today. And once we get the fence in, we'll be ready to come back in and top dress the beds, resod the areas that we're not going to plant anymore. And we should have it complete by Easter, so.
Awesome. I
I
went by
would,
there actually yesterday.
I'm sorry?
I went by there yesterday.
Did you?
Good.
Good. Well, I encourage y'all and any of the guests in the house to go down there and see it. It's something to be proud of, I think, for the community.
Good job.
Thank you.
I wanted to mention to the council, thank you, Jim McKibben, for bringing it up. Thursday, March 27th is the TML regional meeting in Kingsville. We sent out invitations to council. If you would like to attend, please let us know so we can RSVP for you.
Is that when we have our meeting?
We set up a workshop.
Oh, well, yeah, we'll go to Kingsville. Whoops. Yvonne and Amanda will go to, and Bill will go to Kingsville. Without, I'll have to go during the day. That's also our regional city managers meeting, but I'll be back for our workshop.
Is there anybody else who'd like to make a citizen's comment? No? If not, I'll close the citizen comments. Thank you all who spoke up. Now, let's bring us to item 19. We're gonna recess at 8:53 for retire for executive session pursuant to chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, section A, section B, First one is gonna be deliberation over a municipal court judge. Section B will be consultation of the city attorney for public services. All right, thank you.
Sorry.
Next Scott, retired. It's been a really good drive. I mean, I'm over here, all right? These are nice folks. They're really-
How you doing, sir? Been a while.
Oh, no, it's not on the curb, David, it's on the side.
Well, I think part of the back door.
Well, I mean, but you're right. There's a white one in the alley. It's not, that hasn't been inspected. Okay, that's been there and was sitting on the sidewalk in the front. The point is that it's out of inspection, 2008. Okay. All right, on city property.
All right.
All right? It should be tabbed.
It will be tomorrow.
You know, I mean, this is way out of line. You know, and I'm just up here.
I can understand.
I can't get out of my driveway. I'm a little bit angry now. You know,
I would understand. I'll tell you what, we're gonna get cranking on it tomorrow then.
I appreciate it.
We're putting that one on.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Very welcome. Hi, Judge. How are you, Sergeant?
Change those vehicles all the time.
I know they do. I know they do. I am watching. Unfortunately, I was on patrol last week.
I knew that.
So it was
Yeah, 'cause I
really
stopped
hard
by
for me
and
to
said-
get around, but I'm back now. So.
Are you back?
Yes, ma'am.
Good, thank
I'll get on it.
Paybacks.
Did you like that?
I came in and I said, who's been in my office? Man, nobody.
She wasn't even in there.
I said, no, somebody's been in my office. No, no one. Well, I did have a ticket from Robert Briggs. That's all I got.
And Michael told me you were looking for me.
I went in and told the chief, I said, I want to make a complaint, criminal mischief. He goes, I'll get you a supervisor.
He'd have laughed at you.
Yeah.
He would have laughed
I
at you.
told him, I said, no. Paybacks or settlement goes.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was cute.
I
enjoyed
was
it.
sitting in there and I
That made
thought, oh my
afternoon.
God, there's nobody in here, and he left his computer up.
Hey, that was classic. I enjoyed it.
Was he ready?
He's smooth, I mean, he's smooth, he's intelligent, he's good businessman. But he's genuine though. He is, now, he's not fake tonight. I know.
Just like those people up at the Kevin Law Firm.
I don't know, I think he's does a pretty good job. He's forthright.
Yeah, I saw some pictures of you, Sylvia, that were showing around. Never knew you were a bad boy that wore colors on a jacket and everything.
Get your St. Patty's Day tie on, huh? That's good. You didn't wear your green. So I'm like,
It does not match anything else, but I darn sure I have this pair of earrings where I'm
I have it. I just had a chopper, it's a cycle green shirt. My laser just started to smell.
I was looking at it because the numbers and I was trying to see, who's got green? Too many of them.
Green shirt.
It was stretching. It was stretching.
They didn't invite you in the room for that discussion?
They have in their own, another matter. I don't have any, we're only supposed to have people in there that is necessary for the decision, I don't even do this with this one is, we had 25% of the funding walked in that way, 100%
You'll have a night, have you had dinner?
We always had a feeling like,
Okay, you made our own good. It's better that way.
always try to put together.
It was nice to meet you. Thank you so much. Okay.
What I gotta do, I just went up to go, we have a breakfast. I know the chopper those bikes, tell you what,